You're in Sale now. I'm not sure if you had to get out of Traralgon yourself, but it seems like the emergency is still very much on there. The car rescues always worry you, don't they? Because we know it can be deadly.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. It's been a wild 24 hours in Gippsland. In fact, right across large parts of regional Victoria, we had an east coast low punching pretty hard from Bass Strait and dropping between 100 mils, so 4 inches in the old scale, up to 200 mils, up to 8 inches in the old scale across large parts of Victoria. And so here in Gippsland, the Traralgon Valley, it's hard to believe now as I'm standing here in bright sunshine, but it was bucketing down here last night and a lot of heavy winds as well. So trees down across roads, still tens of thousands of people across regional Victoria without power as the crews are working hard now to clear those power lines. But you're right about Traralgon. Traralgon has a little creek that runs through it called Traralgon Creek. Not a very impressive watercourse normally, but at the moment it's really threatening homes. There's been an evacuation order and we're trying to get people out of those homes now to make sure they're safe. And I understand from local reports there's been 12 evacuations, sometimes using helicopters to get people out of cars and out of houses as well. So, you know, it's a pretty tough time for people in those affected areas at the moment.
I know right now the focus is on the emergency and the authorities will be right across that. But from what you've seen and heard so far, what are we looking like in terms of damage in that area? We've seen homes clearly inundated and cars, some of them sliding down the street.
Look, it remains to be seen, Tom. Now, here I am just out of Sale. It's about, I guess, 30 or 40 k's downstream from Traralgon Creek. I'm the Traralgon River behind me. That'll start to rise during the day. There's other streams and catchments across the broader Gippsland region with moderate flood warnings in place. So people are being cautioned to really take care and be aware of the fact that there will be rising streams across our region through to the Gippsland lakes and the impact it'll have there as well. So those low-lying areas of Gippsland which are on floodplains are obviously used to these events. We do have floods on a reasonably regular basis, but when it occurs in built-up areas like Traralgon, obviously the opportunity or the threat to human life and property is higher, so we really do encourage people not to drive through the floodwaters. Often you look at floodwaters, you think it looks pretty innocuous, you think you get your car across there, no problems at all. It doesn't take a lot of water to move a car off a road, and even if you think you're going to be okay, think about the rescuers who might have to come to your aid. You might be putting them at risk as well. So we really do encourage people, don't enter the floodwaters. There's going to be a lot of water around across Gippsland and the Traralgon Valley now for the next 48 hours. Just encourage people to slow down the roads. There's probably hazardous conditions, there'll be trees down. Just take care of each other and look after each other as we get through yet another natural disaster. We've been through droughts and bushfires, so we might as well add flood to the list.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, you never know what's in there as well, whether it be a car or entering it yourself. But you mentioned what the region has been through. Is your mind turning to some sort of assistance federally that might be needed? It's not just drought. It's bushfire, it's flood, it's a lack of business in the regions because of COVID.
Look, it's an interesting point, Tom. We'll need to see how the flood situation plays out. At the moment, it looks like it's going to be reasonably isolated to a small part of the region, and you know, other areas that receive 3 and 4 and 5 inches of rain, well, that'll be great for the farmers. So it's a positive in that regard. It sets up the winter and into spring. So we've had a good season in that regard. In terms of bushfire recovery and coronavirus recovery, Tom, we're in a pretty good place as a region. We've got some money flowing now. We're just going to get those projects that have been promised to us actually built on the ground. We've been concerned as a region, as the lockdowns have occurred across Victoria, that towns in my community which have had no cases of coronavirus have been forced into lockdowns as well, and that's been very frustrating for the small business community. But we're looking forward to domestic tourism growing in the coming months, and hopefully we won't have any more lockdowns here in Victoria, and people will be able to get out and travel around and experience everything our region has to offer. Because as you know, and I'm sure many of viewers know, it's a beautiful part of the world. It's a great place to visit at any time of the year, and these floods will subside hopefully pretty quickly, and we'll get on with attracting visitors back to our region.
So what about the lockdown? I mean, are you in contact, or do you try to get in contact with the Victorian government and say, why are you locking down the whole state? They did it for a week. Even now, you have plenty of restrictions. 2 people can visit another person's house, and there's no sign of COVID anywhere in the regions. What are the conversations you're having about it?
Well, there's an enormous amount of frustration in regional parts of Victoria. My electorate obviously covers a large part, the eastern part of the state, And we've had very few cases over the past 18 months, only a handful in the whole time. And there've been many, many months with 0 cases. And then when Melbourne has an outbreak, we get caught up in some of the lockdown measures that are put in place. And it's been difficult for businesses because they've been open, then they've been closed, they've been open, they've been closed. It's hard to maintain their staffing, it's hard to maintain morale and confidence in the community. So those have all been issues for us. I just haven't understood why Victoria's had a very different approach to other states where there's been an outbreak, the other states have tended to choose measures to shut down that particular area rather than a whole state. So, you know, we just need to get on with the job now. Obviously, the lockdown's easing in Melbourne. They can't travel to our region at the moment. But in the coming weeks, we're expecting people to be able to travel again. I'm just getting a flyover now from a emergency services helicopter, so obviously there's still a fair bit of activity in the region. I apologise for the noise, but hopefully that's going to make sure they're looking after people who might be in a difficult situation.
Yeah, no, exactly. Good sign. Darren Chester, we'll leave it there. Appreciate your time. All the best for the area. Yep.